Right now, I find 30, the Zika virus creating concerns throughout the world, but now it could be connected to the bluegrass.
Also on WKYT this morning, planning to file your tax returns today? You may run into some trouble. We'll explain why just ahead this morning.
And for the 5th time, the Democratic presidential hopefuls will take part in a debate tonight, but this time it'll be head-to-head. The latest from the campaign trail coming up.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. We're glad you're on WKYT as we start off this Thursday. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. You know, it's been nice to be able to wear the short sleeves and to enjoy the warmer temperatures, but things are going to get back to normal.
Yeah, eventually. And it sounds like really cold next week. But in the meantime, we're in a bit of a quiet spot. Let's check in with meteorologist Micah Harris. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, from now through your weekend, I don't see anything adding up in the rain gauge or any snow falling on the ground. We could have a couple of flurries early this morning, but other than that, I mean, that's not a big deal. Nobody really gets affected by flurries. That is your look outside. We're 33 there in Frankfort, 34 now in Fayette County, and also making your way down the Mountain Parkway. Look at London at 36 degrees. Those temperatures won't really rise that much more. I think we'll finish off 30 to 32 degrees by the time it's all said and done, and then once that sun rises, then we're going to be talking about temperatures rising 3 to 4 degrees by the afternoon. So 36 to about 40 is what we're expecting. If you're down south, right around 40 degrees. If you're central and northern zones, right there in the mid-30s. Just a chilly day in store. We're going to be talking about your Friday off into your weekend. It does get much better, and it's one you may have to enjoy because next week the bottom drops out. I'll have that coming up.
Okay, we'll see you shortly. Thank you, Micah.
Well, there are a lot of concerns over the Zika virus, and they continue to grow in the United States. The governor of Florida has even declared health emergencies in 4 counties following 9 cases of the mosquito-borne virus being detected.
And in Texas, health officials are dealing with the first known case of the virus being transmitted through sexual contact. And now we're learning the virus may have a Kentucky connection. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is joining us from our live desk with more on that. Michelle?
Good morning. The Carrolls claim to have caught the Zika virus while in Haiti. Now, the Southern Kentucky family has been living there for more than a year. Their son Chantry attends Murray State University. He went to Haiti over Christmas break to visit his family and began not feeling well. Then the entire family became sick from the Zika virus. Their symptoms range from a headache, swollen hands and feet, a body rash, and even symptoms similar to strep throat. Everyone in the family is feeling better, but the World Health Organization says the virus is spreading explosively, adding that we could see up to 4 million cases over the next year. Now, the virus is primarily spread through mosquito bites, but in an attempt to get ahead of the virus, a health emergency has been declared in the United States down in Florida. The fear is that Zika will enter the local mosquito population there. The virus is not known to be circulating in the mosquito population here in Kentucky. Now, Chantry is back in Kentucky. He and his family are feeling better, and we'll hear from them coming up at 6. At the live desk, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Well, police are still looking for a man accused of robbing a Lexington gas station. It happened just before 10:30 last night at the Sonoco gas station on Newtown Pike. Investigators say an armed robber walked into the store and demanded money and cigarettes. They say the man was last seen headed towards a nearby trailer park. A canine unit was called into search, but police say the suspect was not found.
A Jefferson County grand jury has indicted a man accused of shooting a police officer last month. 53-year-old Kenneth Probus is facing more than 10 charges, including 3 counts of attempted murder. Police say he shot at Shively police officers while they were serving a warrant at his house. Officer Wes Singleton was hit but survived. Police also returned fire, hitting Probus. His attorney says he will plead not guilty when the case goes to court on Monday. If you experienced issues filing your federal tax return over the last 24 hours or so, you may not be alone.
This morning, the IRS says it has temporarily stopped accepting electronically filed returns. This is because of problems with their computer systems. WKYT's Mark Barber is joining us now to talk about what the recent complications are.
Good morning, Rebecca. The computer glitches at the IRS can be very frustrating if you're ready to receive an early refund from Uncle Sam. Now, the IRS says that they are aware of the computer problems. They're working to fix them, but still, they say this morning their electronic filing systems are still down. Now, the hardware failure that shut the systems down yesterday kept a lot of people from getting their electronic taxes filed electronically, but that also crashed their service that allows you to track refunds. Now, if you filed a refund when the system was down, the IRS says that could affect when you will receive your refund. They say it could also take longer than 3 weeks to return refunds to about 10% of the people who tried to file taxes electronically after their systems crashed. There is nothing you can do to help this process along. The IRS says if you have already submitted your return, you will just have to wait for them to fix their computer problems. Now, if you plan on filing taxes through a company that serves as a middleman between taxpayers and the government, the IRS says that you will also have to wait for that company to push those through. They say nothing will be accepted until all of their problems are resolved. As far as how long that could take, they're hoping to have everything fixed at some point later today. Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. Lexington city officials are taking another look at how they notify people during emergencies. The review comes after Saturday's massive fire that destroyed Bluegrass stockyards and some neighboring businesses. According to our news partners at the Herald Leader, the system used a phone system that only calls landline numbers to alert people living in the area about the fire and the opening up of a shelter. But since many people only have cell phones these days, city officials say they are now looking into other notification systems that also use cell phone numbers.
The House Judiciary Committee has unanimously passed a bill that aims to crack down on Flocka and other synthetic drugs. Law enforcement says that Flocka is spreading across Kentucky. They think it's worse than heroin. They say the drug can cause anxiety, paranoia, suicidal thoughts, and heart failure.
I'm not sure they're in the right mind, but they're crazy. They're dangerous, not only to my staff that's responding, but we've had instances there in Lewis County where they've just run into somebody's home and said somebody was chasing them, and that's dangerous.
House Bill 4 would make both possession and trafficking of synthetic drugs felonies instead of misdemeanors.
Well, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders will face off in the 5th Democratic debate tonight in New Hampshire, which holds the nation's very first primary next week.
Both candidates made their case to voters during a town hall last night as the top Republican candidates ramped up their attacks. Weijia Zhang has the latest from Manchester, New Hampshire.
At a town hall event in Derry, New Hampshire last night, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton continued to trade jabs over their progressive values.
I do not know any progressive who has a super PAC and takes $15 million from Wall Street.
I was somewhat amused today that Senator Sanders has set himself up to be the gatekeeper on who's a progressive.
Clinton, who claimed a razor-thin victory over Sanders in Iowa, is trailing him in the Granite State. Sanders is from neighboring Vermont. He's also dominating the attention of young voters like Natalie Weinstein.
Bernie has been very stable the entire time he has, been in politics.
With less than a week before the primary here in New Hampshire, Republicans Donald Trump and Ted Cruz remain locked in a war of words over who won in Iowa. Yesterday, Trump accused Cruz, who finished first in Iowa, of stealing the state's caucuses, calling for the results to be nullified.
It is no surprise that Donald is throwing yet another temper tantrum, or if you like, yet another Trumper tantrum.
Trump was almost 2 hours late for a campaign event in Arkansas yesterday after his plane experienced mechanical issues and he was forced to land in Nashville. He's expected to hold at least 3 events in New Hampshire today where he's leading Cruz in the polls. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Well, both Rand Paul and Rick Santorum dropped out of the Republican presidential race Wednesday, leaving 9 GOP contenders remaining.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul has decided to suspend his campaign for president. Senator Paul wanted to improve the Republican Party's popularity among younger voters and minorities, but his message never caught on. He spoke more about the decision to end his presidential campaign with me yesterday during our taping of Kentucky Newsmakers.
But when they added up the votes, there just weren't enough to win. There's at least 3 people well ahead of us, and we just didn't think we had the momentum to go on to win. And I'm a big believer in trying as hard as you can to win.
Having withdrawn from the presidential race, Senator Paul says he now plans to focus on his re-election for the U.S. Senate. You can see my full interview with Senator Paul on Kentucky Newsmakers. Its first airing is 6 o'clock Sunday morning right here on WKYT.
Another Republican also announced he will be ending his presidential campaign. Former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum entered the race as a long shot and never really made it onto the main stage in any of the debates. Now out of the race, Santorum says he will be supporting Republican candidate Marco Rubio. A 76-year-old Breathitt County man is recovering after having to be rescued from a flooded creek. Firefighters say the man lost electricity at his home and was headed to a neighbor's house on a four-wheeler. They say he was trying to cross a creek near Jackson when the four-wheeler flipped. After heavy rains Tuesday night, the man ended up stranded since the water was up above normal. People nearby saw what happened and called for help.
He was a little shook up, of course, and he's a little cold from being wet and waiting over here for us to get him out.
Firefighters say it took a few hours for the man to be rescued because of the high water. Say he was taken to the hospital but is expected to be okay.
All right, ended all right, but
yeah,
tough
close
situation
call.
there. All right, time to check live drive traffic this morning, see what is going on out there. 5:40 the time, 20 before 6. And here's a look at current traffic. You see a lot of green, no reports of any major issues at this hour. Looks pretty good out there. We'll zoom in just a little bit closer, and you can see that traffic is starting to pick up along Tate's Creek in some areas, slowing down just a bit early.
Yeah, looks good.
All right, more news coming up for you on your Thursday on WKYT.
Typically, when people say they are competing in a marathon, you think of distance. It's not necessarily the case for the New York Marathon. We'll explain in a few minutes.
We're in the 30s out there this morning. Going to be in the 30s for the most part later on this afternoon. And then we jump to the 40s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then a big drop off next week with snow in your forecast. I'll have that coming up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
30s this morning. Once we track off into the afternoon, it's pretty much going to stay in the 30s. We'll have a mixture of sun and clouds later on today, but this morning, heads up, a couple of flurries you could see passing through. Just know you're not going to get much out of that. 33 degrees now in Frankfort. You can see things look pretty good there on the roadway. So get into your afternoon, mixture of sun and clouds. 36 degrees will be our high. And some of us down south could reach that 40-degree reading, but just know it's going to be a chilly day. It will be below average for everybody, average being at 42 degrees. Head off into your evening and night, another chilly night in store. So we finish off right around 28 degrees tomorrow morning. And it looks like it'll rebound very nicely. Friday sitting there around 42 to 43 degrees. Then we head off towards your weekend. It gets a little bit better. Mid-40s expected. That's actually pretty nice this time of year. I know it's still on the cool side, but remember, we're in winter. I mean, we're in February. It could be way worse, but a pretty good looking weekend forecast. And then we hit Sunday off into Monday. That's when things start to change a bit. Check this out. I mean, it's pretty widespread. It covers a large real estate of the viewing area, not just the viewing area, but the state of Kentucky. Look at the Commonwealth. But I do want to show you this. This is a snow forecast in toward next week. As you can see, there's 5 p.m. Monday. But look very closely. That's 0.6. That's not 6 inches of snow. That's 0.6 inches there in Frankfort. That's half an inch there in Danville. This is not a big snowmaker, but it could be just enough to cause some issues there on Monday. This is going to be starting off Sunday night into Monday morning, rolling on through. So this is a very light snowmaker, but if we could take it off into Tuesday and off into Wednesday, it'll add up a little bit more. So this is a light snowmaker heading in, both of them actually heading in Monday, Tuesday, and off toward Wednesday. It starts to fade away, but that's in toward next week. The next few days are really calm, and they look pretty good. I mean, 36, that's the coldest we're going to be seeing throughout the next few days heading up towards your weekend. But 42 on Friday, that's average. 45 both Saturday and Sunday, they're kind of carbon copies of each other. Any 5Ks going on Saturday, it won't be that bad. We'll be there in the 20s and 30s, but then we head toward the afternoon right around 45 degrees. So anything going on, yeah, you look pretty good. Now Monday, Tuesday, that's something to really pay attention to because the kids heading back to school. It might be tough for a couple of us. I know we're still 4 to 5 days away. It's still a long ways out, but that's definitely something that's been showing up on our radar. Radar meaning the weather models the past few days that we're going to have that snow chance Sunday night into Monday. Like I said, that could cause a few issues there for some of the schools no big shot of snow, meaning no deep snow coming this way. It's just some light snow, but, you know, light snow around here. Some of those back roads, the hills, the places that, you know, it's hard for that sunshine to get down to or hard for some of these salt trucks to get to. Yeah, that could cause a few issues.
Okay, well, you know, it's a little bit is better than a lot.
Yes, that is the truth.
Well said.
Yeah,
all right, thank you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. It's 5:47 now. The elevator ride to the top of the Empire State Building takes less than a minute, but how long it would take you to run all of the 86 floors up to the top, that is a question, huh?
Would you do that, Bill? I think you
Don't
would.
know about that.
That's what these people attempted to find out. The 2016 Empire State Building run-up was held yesterday in New York City. The fastest runners reached the top of the Empire State Building in just about 10 minutes. Hundreds took part in the world's oldest and most famous tower race. Yesterday's race marked the 39th annual Empire State Building run-up. I'm just afraid I'd get like claustrophobic or something.
Somewhere along the way, huh?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you have to concentrate
impressive.
so much on keeping going that that wouldn't get to you.
I don't know.
All right, they all look excited there at the top.
Coming up, you'll get the stories making news right now.
We'll check and see what is hot on the web this morning, some health news and more coming up on WKYT This Morning. Good morning. Welcome back into WKYT This Morning. It's 5:51.
Let's take a look right now at some of the stories we're working on for you at this hour.
We're learning more about a Western Kentucky family that claims to have contracted the Zika virus while on a mission trip to Haiti. The virus has already caused concerns in some other states. Florida's governor has issued medical emergencies in 4 counties due to the virus. And in Texas, health officials are reviewing the first known case of it being contracted through sexual contact.
If you've tried filing your federal tax return electronically in the last 24 hours, you may run into some trouble. The IRS says it has temporarily stopped accepting electronically filed returns because of problems with its computer systems. While the outage could affect some refunds, the IRS said it does not expect any major disruptions. The IRS says 90% of taxpayers will receive refunds within 3 weeks.
State police have made an arrest in a case of a deadly shooting at a central Kentucky stockyard. Police say 47-year-old Eric Saylor of Lancaster has now been charged with murder. Investigators say Saylor shot Thomason on Monday afternoon at Washington County Livestock Center. He later died at a Louisville hospital. Police have still not said why they think Saylor killed Thomason.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders face off in their 5th Democratic debate tonight from New Hampshire, which holds the nation's first primary next week.
And on Wednesday, the candidates traded jabs over their progressive values during a town hall event. On the Republican side, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz remained locked in a war of words following Trump's second-place finish in the Iowa caucuses. A sexual assault case against Bill Cosby in Pennsylvania moves forward. Back in December, Cosby was arrested and charged with drugging and assaulting a former Temple University employee at his suburban Philadelphia home in 2004. After a 2-day marathon hearing, a judge swept aside claims that a previous district attorney had granted the comedian immunity for life against prosecution a decade ago.
We begin this morning with some health headlines. Another reason for older men to stay in shape.
Right, older men who exercise regularly are less likely to fall and hurt themselves. That's according to researchers at Yale University who looked at hundreds of men between 70 and 89 years old. They did not find a similar link in women. The earlier pregnant women with severe flu get an antiviral, the better. A CDC study finds expectant moms who take Tamiflu within 2 days of their symptoms cut their hospital stays by about 5 days. Research shows that pregnant women are at higher risk for serious flu complications and even death.
Researchers in London have found plaque buildup that's related to Alzheimer's disease in people with moderate to severe brain injuries. The small study looked at 9 people around the age of 44. Doctors say the findings suggest that damage to the brain may trigger the production of plaque. Let's get a check right now. Today's traffic trouble spots with a look at live drive traffic. The time is 5:54 this morning. Things looking pretty good out there. The traffic map not showing too many issues for you this morning. Just have a good day. Time to check what's making news online now with Bill.
Well, right now on WKYT.com, we're staying on top of the troubles with the IRS computers. The government has stopped accepting electronically filed returns for now until they get those troubles resolved. Also trending, concerns about the Zika virus grow. Florida's governor declaring an emergency in 4 counties, and now a family from Western Kentucky believes they contracted Zika during a mission trip to Haiti. We're on that, and we'll have the details coming up in our news here. Senator Rand Paul left the race for the White House yesterday. Those responding to our web poll indicate they think it was a good idea for Paul to drop out. More than 92% of those responding agree with Paul's decision to leave the race for president. Country music superstar Garth Brooks returning to Kentucky. Brooks and his wife Trisha Yearwood will play at the KFC Yum Center Saturday, April 9th. Tickets for that will go on sale a week from tomorrow, and that is buzzing on the web this morning. The Versailles mayor proposing that an old school that was closed back in 2006 would be a good location for the local police department. Our content partners at Kentucky.com have that. They also have a rundown of the UK recruiting class after the commitments of National Signing Day. And CBS This Morning is coming up at 7 with your eye opener, and we'll have local updates. Join us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter or Instagram, and for the latest news anytime, WKYT.com.
Out there this morning, here's what we're going to be looking for. We're going to be looking for maybe a couple of flurries here and there. All in all, I think it's a pretty good looking start to the day. There's clouds out and about, and once the sun does rise, it's not going to rise our temperatures that much because we'll have mostly cloudy skies through much of your day. Get into your afternoon, you may be talking 2 to 3 degrees higher than what you're seeing now. So that's about it. London coming in at 35 degrees. That goes for Corbin, and then make your way into Williamsburg. Middlesboro not looking bad. It's at 35 this morning, 36 now in Jackson and Breathitt County, and then all across the Bluegrass region, westbound towards Simpsonville, head over toward the Outlet Mall area, and we're seeing those temperatures across 64 just above that freezing mark. Get into your afternoon, 36 degrees. Off into the night and into tomorrow morning, we'll jump or drop to the 20s. So it's going to be pretty chilly tomorrow morning, but it does rebound very nicely. The focus of the forecast is how calm the weather is the next few days until we hit next week. That's when snow chances move on in, multiple chances of snow, which we're going to talk all about in further detail. Another hour of WKYT news coming up at the top of the hour. If you're about to take off, have a great day. Be safe out there. And we'll see you back here in just the next couple of minutes for those sticking with us.